Did you know that if you have family members living in the regional parts of Australia, they can help you move to Australia through a visa category which is called as 491 Regional Provisional Visa. But what is the eligibility criteria? Who can apply? How many points you can get? If you want to learn everything about it, make sure you stick with me till the end of this video because I have invited Victor, who is an expert immigration advisor, and he will be explaining in depth about this visa category. So without any further delay, let's get started with today's video. Hi Victor, welcome to your Knowledge Buddy again, and we will start with your short introduction. If you don't mind, can you introduce yourself to my audience, please?
Thank you very much, Sarika, and thanks for bringing me once again here. And my name is Victor, and I live in New Zealand and been into this migration assistance business from last around 17 years. So today I'm here to share my knowledge on Your Knowledge Buddy.
Thank you very much. So, Victor, first of all, thank you very much for the last video where we touched upon all the visa categories in Australia on a high level. And today's
Mhm.
agenda is to do a deep dive on one of the visa category, which is 491 regional visa. So, my
Mhm.
audience, they are interested to know how it works, what is the point-based system, which jobs are in demand, and what are the other eligibility criteria. So, if you don't mind, can we get into little detail and understand it better, and maybe with one or two example, please?
Definitely, Sarika, we can do that. So 491 is a point tested visa. Basically, there will be points testing involved and how people can claim points for their settlement factors, as well as state nomination will be involved. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and show our audience how they can go about it, what are the steps involved, and what they should be doing to explore their eligibility for 491.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you, Sarika. First of all, this is state and territory nomination is the 491 subclass visa falls under. So we're going to talk about there are two subclasses which are for state nomination, like this one, skilled nominated subclass 190 and skilled work regional provisional 491. 491 is a provisional visa because it leads to the permanent residency after 3 years. So basically, this is a 5 year visa where you have to work in a particular state, show your attachment with the help of tax returns that you have lived in the state, paying the regular rental, and earning in that particular state for 3 years. Then you can be eligible for a permanent residency. So this is what we're going to do today to look at 491 in more detail. So this is the allocation. So basically, the state governments of Australia, they declare their targets, that how many skilled workers they would like to invite and settle in their state every year. So this is here on the screen, which our audience can refer to, and the links will be in the description so that they can understand. And these are the different states of Australia where we can, or where our audience can explore their opportunities. So different states, according to their geography, according to their business and the nature. Like some states are agriculture oriented, some are hospitality oriented, and some are mining oriented or transport oriented or logistics oriented. So according to that, they have different options. If our audience wants to explore their chances, then they have to look at the occupation. I'll give you an example here today about South Australia. So this is South Australia's immigration website. Move to South Australia. So basically, each of these states, they compete with each other to attract the skilled migrants into their particular state for the settlement and for the benefit of the state. So whatever trades they are looking for. As I just mentioned, work and live in South Australia for up to 5 years. So this is the 490. That's a target of 491 subclass visa. So if we look at here, who can apply? That's a very common question from our audience all the time. That am I eligible to apply or not? So Sarika, if you look here, if somebody is under the age of 45, then they are eligible to apply and they have to have a valid skill assessment. And we can guide our audience about this process. It's a very technical and very highly specialized process where they have to get their skill assessment done in the right manner, because one person can be eligible for maybe 3 or 4 occupations, because ANSCO code, which is Australia New Zealand Standard of Classification of Occupations, ANSCO, they say, I'll give you an example. If somebody is a cook or a chef, how to differentiate, because they both have different definitions,
Mhm.
but both go similarly hand in hand. Similarly, in IT sector, there are a lot of options for a same person. Same person can be a software developer, even a tester, or a programmer. So we need to look into which occupation is in demand. So accordingly, we can guide them. They have to have the eligible skill occupation. That is a game changer. That's the most important thing which we need to look at. Skilled occupation means these governments, like the state governments, they announce their list. And under that list, they choose people according to their requirements. So I'll show you an example here. If you look at this for South Australia, so this is a South Australia skilled occupation list. And just for the convenience and just for the help of our audience, I've got here some occupations which are listed. So, say for example, if somebody is sales and marketing manager, if we click on that, it can be applied from offshore. But if you look here, it says this occupation is not available to offshore clients. So
Mhm.
what's the meaning of that is, even if you have the pass points of 65, but if South Australia doesn't need you for this particular role, then you will not be able to apply. But similarly, if you go down and if you look at, say, for example, HR manager, and this is the ANSCO code I was just talking about. ANSCO code is basically the definition of every occupation. And then it says offshore, yes, you can apply, and the subclass 190 and 491 both can be applied, and 65 is the basic points to apply. And look at this, the top ranking offshore candidates who have submitted an EOI to Department of Home Affairs. Skill Select is the policy name for the migration where expression of interest can be submitted. So you can be invited for a nomination from the South Australia. So now if we go back to that, what are the other steps? So you have to have the 65 points. I'm going to show in a minute how our audience can claim these 65 points. And then have a competent English. Competent English means 6 each. If someone scores better than that, if they score 7 each or they score 8 each, then they can have the benefit of high point system, as well as some occupations in these states also require higher level of English. So this is the basic crux of the policy. And now I'm gonna show the point calculator, which is a very important step, and I'm going to give you the link so that you can put that into the description so that our audience can do a
Sure.
bit of play around and know their system. So if you look at this point calculators for different categories, you can look into points. So I'll give you a sample test here, like we'll do a sample test here. So basically at least 25 but less than 33. This is the age bracket where someone can get the maximum points. And after that is the English. If someone has superior English, which is 8 band each, and then it comes here outside of Australia experience, basically offshore experience. So if they have 8 years of experience, they have never been to Australia. Australian skilled employment is basically less than 1 year, have no points. So I'm just selecting that. Highest qualification, bachelor's and master's have the same points. I'm selecting that. Australian study, I'm assuming the applicant has not studied in Australia. They have no specialist education. And this thing, community language, which is Nati, they don't have any of that as well. And they haven't done any other regional studies. Yes, they have a partner, and the partner has competent English. It means if the partner also has 6 band each, and they have not done a professional year in Australia, nomination or sponsorship, I'm saying here that yes, they have accepted or they have been given a nomination. Now, this is the summary of the points which can be really helpful for the understanding of our audience. So, the selection which I've done with that age, they can claim 30 points. English language, they can claim 20 points. Work experience outside Australia, 15 points is the maximum. So, I have done this as an exercise. Okay, 15 points. No experience in Australia, so it's 0 points. Qualification, bachelor's and master's is the same, 15 points. Other all Australian factors I'm keeping nil because most of our audience are not in Australia. So partner skills, they can get 5 to 10 points. So I'm taking only 5 here. And nomination, if they receive, they can get 15 points, and that brings their point total to 100. So, as compared to the requirement of 65, this applicant is at 100 points. There's very high possibility of their selection for the state nomination. So, this was just a random exercise just to give a bit of more elaborative knowledge to our audience.
This is really good. Thank you, Victor.
So this is what I would like to touch base at, and if our audience have any questions, if they want to do a bit of exploring in this point system, or if they can't understand anything, then we are always there, and our team is always there to help them and improve their understanding.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Victor. I have a question around. I understand how this point-based system work. Maybe you're planning to cover this ahead. I want to discuss about the family-supported visa. There is a sponsored visa. What does it mean? How many points can it get? If you can talk more, little bit more in detail, will be useful.
Definitely, Sarika. This is just very simple. If you look at here, okay, I'm bringing you back to this nomination or sponsorship page with the option which I selected. So here I selected an option for 491 because 491 can be done two times in two ways. One was the nomination given by the state or territory, and if you look at the next option, which is here, that if you're supported by a family member.
Yeah.
So I selected that, and that is also nomination or sponsorship. This is why it gives again 15 points. So they can have either of that.
Okay. They cannot have both. Those they need either nomination or sponsorship, and the point
Yeah,
is 50.
15 points. Yes. So they have to be supported by an eligible relative. And if you're husband wife, then it could be a relative of maybe husband or wife, doesn't matter. And they could be uncle, aunts, and nieces, and first cousins, those sort of people, parent, siblings, anyone.
Yeah, and do you also have a list of those regional areas where they should be living to be eligible to sponsor them?
Basically, how it works, Sarika, is there is a postcode system, designated areas, postcode. So basically, I can put a link for you, and you can put that into description. And most of the people, those who have relatives, they know exactly if they're living in the regional area. So generally, what happens is they have their postcode. They need to put the postcode in the website, and the website tells that if they're regional or not.
Okay, great. And in terms of relationship, is there any guide from the government like this is the list of this relationship, and if you fall under it, then you are allowed to sponsor your relative?
Basically, as I said, they are looking for uncles, aunts, parents, siblings, niece, and first cousins.
Okay.
So basically, these are the people, those who can sponsor. Basically, how does it work, Sarika? Is immigration department, they want your relative to be closely relative. Basically, when we talk about first cousins or when we talk about any uncle and aunts, basically they are there settled and they can help you to settle down in the regional area with the help of their support. So this is what the aim of the policy, to get more family members so that they can easily settle down and making their journey or settlement easy, basically.
Okay, and they need to have a settled status, right, before they can sponsor someone.
Definitely, definitely. They have to be more than 18 years of age, and they should be a resident or a citizen of Australia or an eligible New Zealand citizen who's living in Australia.
Yeah. Okay. And there's no more criteria like you need to be as part of this particular job code or you need to be contributing this to economy, nothing like that.
Nothing like that. Earlier, we used to have income threshold for the 491 applicants holders, that they can live in the regional area, but they have to maintain a salary threshold. But now government has abolished that, removed that, so they have to just show that they have been living in the state for 3 years to be eligible for a 191 permanent residency visa after this 491 visa. So basically, they need to only prove that they have been living and working in the state regardless of their salary threshold or
Oh,
salary level.
so but a minimum of 3 years they should be reading in, they should be living in
Yes.
that region. Yeah.
That is the aim of the policy, because the
Okay.
policy is aimed to attract skilled migrants into that particular state. So if they come and they leave the state, then it's the failure of the policy. That's why this requirement is there.
Okay, great. Thank you, Victor. What else my audience should know about this visa category?
So this visa category, I would say, just as a basically I'll show you this page. This is a very important page. So if anybody wants to play around with this South Australia or any other state, the basic thing which they have to look at is how their occupation is and what are the requirements are there. Basically, if they're meeting that or not, so they can move from one state to other. They should not be just thinking that okay, my occupation is named here, then it's that's it basically. So every state have their own requirements, so they have to have a look here. And as always, it's everywhere written, the top ranking offshore candidates will have priority. So I would recommend them to concentrate on their on claiming the highest points. Under the assessment, they should try their best to get the maximum number of years of work experience approved under the skill assessment. And I would recommend them to try to score 8 each if they can. Pearson test of English, which is PT, that's a really good level, the good way of scoring 8 each. A lot of our candidates have been really successful, and a lot of them have scored 90 out of 90, which is amazing. So, yeah, I would recommend that doing a bit of homework and seeking professional help is the way to go.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much, Victor. Thank you for educating my audience. And for my audience who are watching this video, please make sure you do your own play around of this website. The links will be provided. Look at the points, look at the job code. And if you require any help, all the links are provided in the video description, so you can reach out to us. Thank you, Victor. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. And we will speak soon on the next topic. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much, Sarika.
Thank you.